Right, guys, quick one. Rice, rest, ice, compression, elevation. Been injury treatment 101 for an awful long time. Is getting less and less popular. Studies, particularly on the ice part, are showing it to be non-optimal, we'll say. Um, in the physio circles, following the social media feeds of various high level physios, big backlash against it because, yes, the studies are showing that ice is ineffective in healing. Doesn't mean it's always ineffective, and it should never be used. Like all things, everything in its place for everything. Yeah? Or rather, a place for everything and everything in its place. Context is always key. So, for most people, most people who are dealing with an actual injury, icing an injury to bring down swelling and inflammation is not necessarily the right thing to do. It feels right, it feels good, it takes away some of the pain and all the rest. And yeah, I get it. It is lovely. I've iced plenty of injuries and it always feels nice, right? Ice is nice. um, but why do we get the inflammation in the first place? Inflammation brings healing. That's the fluids going into the area, bringing with it all the white blood cells, all the stuff that the blood carries, all the good stuff that's going to help rebuild, regenerate those damaged tissues. If we prevent that from happening with ice and anti-inflammatories, we're actually we're slowing down our healing process. For a while, bodybuilders were kind of doing this. They were taking ibuprofen and whatever else after training because they were so sore to combat DOMS. But DOMS, that inflammation that they're fighting against, was actually what is helping rebuild the body bigger, badder, stronger, meaner. Yeah, all the things you want, the reason you train. So, where is ice actually useful? If you're an athlete, if you need an acute reduction in pain and swelling so that you can move better sooner. So if you're in season, for example, so if you're a player and you've got a bang, you need to get that swelling down, you need to get that joint moving quickly. Rice now might let you train or play tomorrow. Yeah. If you're in a tournament, like the BJJ guys, they've got 1 day tournaments, the judo guys, 1 day tournaments. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe 2 or 3 days. But if you're fighting today and you pick up an owie in the shoulder, ice and some movement might get you so that you're back on the mat later that day, or you're back on the mat tomorrow and you're able to compete. All right. But when you get home, now we need the healing to happen. Okay. Now we maybe put heat on it. Yeah. Good old fashioned hot water bottle. These microwave, these hot water heat pads that you put in the microwave, or the chemical heat pads, any of that stuff. Infrared lamps. Infrared lamps are great. You start putting heat on it, and now you're going to get blood fluids pumping. Blood brings nutrition. It's going to go pumping through that area, and you're going to start feeling a bit better. Okay. Ice is good. Now, the current trend of ice baths, cold showers, etc., that's nothing to do with injury and healing. That is everything to do with what happens physiologically. You get the adrenaline spike, bang, you come out of it, and then when you soak in ice, your internal, we'll call it your heater. Homeostasis is the mechanism by which our body maintains a safe internal state. So it's pumping heat. When you're in the cold, it's generating heat. Yeah. And as soon as you come out, you're going to get that flushing through everything as your body tries to warm up. So, that's a whole different thing. That rush of adrenaline you get and the feel good hormones afterwards. It's very much like the feeling you get after a solid workout. You know what I mean? That almost elation type feeling. So ice is good in, like I said, context. Ice is good in context. The cold baths, great for resetting the nervous system, for building energy, for getting that neural energy, the hormone system all kind of boom, feeling good. But if you've got an injury, it's not the optimal treatment for said injury. Better off with heat. Alrighty, this all comes out of a conversation I've had with a couple of guys the last week or two. Everything context. I can't say it enough. Context is king. Nothing is good or bad. It's just, is it good in this situation or is it bad in this situation? All right. My kids are always asking, what's the best car or whatever else? And I answer them, well, am I towing a trailer? Am I driving across a field? Am I on a racetrack? What do you mean? What's the best car? And that's an example of context. We will chat to you soon.